this week we have trained a lot, and our expectation is not about winning, but to bring on the beach our style and our gameplay.
For us, it's important to keep playing the same style. For all three of us, it's really important to stay confident throughout the whole 90 minutes. Hopefully we can manage that and qualify to the next round.
Well, there you have it. We have a fantastic clash coming up first between Roma and Arsenal. Let's see which players are going to be lining up first to open up the day for us in game one of match day 1. And it's going to be Gagliardo from Roma, as well as Barbosa from Arsenal. In the case of the Roman side, well, Gagliardo, he was the only player to not pick up a win last week for Roma. And then whenever it comes to Barbosa, well, you may remember he suffered a heavy-handed defeat to the Palma 7-1 in his game. So both of these two players, guys, they really have to make some amends for today.
They do, and this for me is a huge vote of confidence in favor of Barbosa from Arsenal, because as you said last week, his only game losing what was that, 7-1 to the Palma, just not up to Barbosa's standards. But his Arsenal teammates have said, hey, you go out there first, you lay us down a marker, and then we can see what we can do in games 2 and 3 as well. So I really like this from Arsenal. And then on the other side, a similar thing could be said, Wes, for Gagliardo starting first as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams keeping faith in their players that may have slightly underperformed last week. But again, it'll be points to prove for them. It'll be, okay, well, we've had a week. We've kind of gone away, licked our wounds, and now we've got to come back and show our proper level. And I think we're in for a really interesting opener here. It may not be the most glamorous of ties to those watching at home, but I think this one has the most intrigue.
Lots of intrigue, indeed. Well, sorry, guys. Just hold that thought, Harry, for a quick moment, because we do have to very quickly introduce our referee for today, who has been with us so far and will continue to be with us throughout the entire tournament, and that is Sergio Barraga. You can see him there live and focused and concentrated, getting ready for all things to kick off here in just a few moments' time, and he will, of course, be keeping track of all of the rules of the tournament. So go ahead then, Harry. I will hand the floor back over to you, and you may continue now. Your thoughts?
You know me, Semra. I just like to steal the limelight whenever I can. I must say, thank you for introducing the referee. Your Spanish accent, much better than mine.
You can give it a go if you want it.
I can try. Maybe we'll leave that for another week. I won't embarrass myself just yet, Wes. But we can start now to look at this game. Worth noting, of course, as we take a quick look at these Dream Team lineups. If you're just joining us for the first time, these are the two clubs that only played one match last match day. So after this match, after this series of 3 games, Wes, we'll have a better idea of the lay of the land in Group B.
Yeah, and this will be kind of the litmus test for both of these teams. But you can see from both sides already, you can see some of those featured players in each lineup. There's 3 in each that we can see at the moment. Surely, I mean, we'll see many more goals from here on in. But they've, both players have got a lot to prove here. I've spoken a lot about Barbosa. Gagliardo is no slouch in this game. So yeah, I think both players now have got to come out and prove their worth.
Well, we say thank you very much to Semra in the studio as we kick off match day 2 for Group B. Roma versus Arsenal, Gagliardo versus Barbosa. Both players coming into match day 2 with chips on their shoulders, not very happy with how they played out on match day 1. We have Arsenal in the change strip, of course, attacking from right to left. You have the Romans going the other way. An early possession for Arsenal. Barbosa, of course, as we said before, will be wanting to shake the proverbial monkey off his back from last week. Of course, losing 7-1 to the Palma, who was on fire in fairness. But we picked him up last week, Wes, as a player that likes to get loud, likes to get passionate. We need to see that fire from him today, don't we?
Yeah, I think so. I think the most telling bit from here is the change in shape from Barbosa. Moved to a 4 at the back instead of being 3 at the back here, but Roma are in again.
Well, Mkhitaryan trying to tee up Abraham at the near post. We can, of course, take a bit of time, of course, to explain the rules of the competition while the opening stages play out here. I might come back to that, actually, as Abraham is through. Can he get his strike away? Gagliardo is on the board for Matchday 2. Tammy Abraham tucking it neatly into the bottom corner. It only took 10 in-game minutes, Wes, and we're on the board for Matchday 2.
Yeah, and it's our first goal from a featured player as well. Again, really kind of, it's been coming pretty much on the opening kick from Roma. You saw an early press early on. Barbosa hasn't really got out of his half, and again, it breaks that. Abraham, a little bit of manual goalkeeping, moves one way, but again, as we said, these players will sense those movements, they'll see them, and they will pick out the option that is best to score, and Abraham does that with absolute aplomb here. 1-0, and Gagliardo gets himself on the board. It's an early kind of nerve settler if you're him. You can see he's taking his high fives and his hand claps from each other, but he's also telling people to calm down. Barbosa again just needs to just collect himself and get himself into this game.
A 1-0 then. We were asking each other as we confirm Gagliardo's second goal of the season how much impact these club packs would make in Matchday 2. Martinelli's made a run, but he's found to be offside. But that Abraham card is looking very strong indeed, of course, for the sake of fairness. Collective strength is limited under 2,300, so that's up to 2,300. It can, of course, be underneath, but now it's time for Barbosa to reply, but, well, giving the ball away somewhat cheaply. Be interesting to know, Wes, what's going through Barbosa's head right now, having conceded so early after that drubbing last week. He needs to bounce back here.
Yeah, I think knowing him the way that I do, or at least knowing him the way that we do, I think it's a case of now he's going to kind of go, okay, well, it's only one goal. It's not the end of the world, but...
Oh, here is Abraham through once more, but Leno with the manual keeping is called into action. That is a vital stop from the Arsenal man.
Yeah, it's a big save. It's a big manual save as well, but notice here from Roman, notice how high the defensive line is there. It's only going to take one properly timed pass, I think, from Barbosa, and he'll be away to the races here.
Well, can Martinelli get in behind? He can, but I believe that was a pass back to the goalkeeper from the defender, just sticking a foot in at the vital moments. Odegaard trying to find Tomiyasu. The cross is dealt with at the first time of asking. As we approach the half-hour mark. Roma 1, Arsenal 0. Here comes Mkhitaryan. Looking for that featured card. Abraham again. He's been a real force to be reckoned with in the first half hour of this game one. Odegaard trying to feed Lacazette, but the door, well and truly slammed closed at every possible Arsenal opportunity. Roma defending well here in the opening 45. Lokonga, though, has a man over to try and square it, but I think you saw Gagliardo's reaction there, just leaning back a little bit, pretty happy that his goalkeeper, Rui Patricio, able to pick that one up. Yeah,
we talk. I mean, you mentioned there about the featured Abraham card. I think the interesting point to note here is with Roma, they have, or at least with Gagliardo at least, there's almost a spine of those players. So there's, I think it's Mancini at centre half. There's a midfielder, I think Zaniolo, who's there, and you've got Abraham. So it's adding that quality across the board.
Mkhitaryan with the cross across goal, but could not find a fellow Roman. Here comes Odegaard trying to feed through down the middle, but been fairly open this game, it has to be said, from one end to the next. I just feel maybe we're lacking a little bit of quality from these players as once more Barbosa Giving the ball away high up the pitch. Jan cannot find Zaniolo. And this, as we approach half-time, Wes, looking like the final attack. Martinelli cannot seem to get the ball under his spell. Finally does so. Lokonga. Ødegaard here. Building for Arsenal, but it's that man at the back, Mancini, able to stick a foot in, and the half ends 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Barbosa has recovered fairly well since the goal was conceded, but there's not been a lot really to write home about. I mean, you look at the possession, 38% possession for Roma. There's not been any shots from Arsenal. A little bit maybe of trying to pass the ball into the net. We saw, during the last match days, we saw, feints and dummies that were the order of the day. But you can see from Barbosa's lineup, it's Martinelli and Lacazette that are both the features at that end of the field. Is it a case that maybe he's gone too far in the attacking sense and hasn't thought to maybe try and shore up the defence with a feature player? It's all about these choices that these players are making, and it seems at the moment Gagliardo's made the perfect choice for Roma.
Well, we've kicked off the second half. We saw the statistics in terms of passes attempted doubled by Arsenal, but the important stat line is the goals, and there could be another one here. The 2-goal cushion for AS Roma to start the second half. Puts them comfortably in the lead now. Gagliardo strikes 2. It's 2-0 to Roma. Great goal.
That is a big goal, and it's great passing and moving. It's 1- and 2-touch football. You can see Ohene Jan at the back post, ready to receive it. It's brilliant play from Gagliardo just to break that defensive line. I think Zaniolo with that cut across, and again, you'd have to be hard-pressed to miss from there. But wonderful passing move. And you can see that the confidence is there with him this week. And you can see that he's certainly paying back his team in kind for being out at the forefront.
Second goal of the game for AS Roma. Is there a response from Barbosa? Just cannot seem to find that piece of brilliance in the final third that's seemingly needed to beat Gagliardo here, and it could be even worse. Mkhitaryan went for goal in the end, I think, but here is Abraham. Just wanting to cool off the Jets a little bit, but he's breezed past Tomiyasu. 3 goals now for Gagliardo. And I think Wes, he's just wanting to seemingly kill off this second half a little bit, maybe drain that clock down a little bit. Still a lot of eFootball to play here in the second half, but overall very impressed with what I've seen from Gagliardo so far.
Well, traditionally, in terms of Italian players of eFootball, arguably one of the hardest types of teams to play against, or nationalities to play against, because they come from that deep-rooted defensive mentality that once they go a goal or 2 goals up, they'll look to just shore up the defence, maybe play a bit of possession, try and take the venom out of the game. But again, it's all going to be for Barbosa now to try and kind of create something. The issue, of course, is that the more players you try and throw forward, the more issues you're going to have trying to defend. You'll see there the lineup that he's gone with, 4-4-2. It's Thomas Partey, who's the last feature player that was there at the moment. I can see that's as Alex Lacazette has been moved to left mid. So interesting that there's changes coming here, but again, can't leave yourself too exposed at the back in the search of going for a goal to get yourself back in the game.
Well, you certainly cannot. You can see, as you said, the formation for Barbosa. So we haven't really touched upon yet this season about how the coach's strategies as well can sometimes play a part. You have Jose Mourinho, of course, available in-game for AS Roma, and then Mikel Arteta for the Arsenal. You think that's maybe a big reason as to why Barbosa just can't seem to get a grip of this Arsenal team so far? I'll come back to that as Abraham tries to get his strike away, but finds an offside teammate.
Yeah, I mean, with each individual manager within eFootball, they have certain tactics that they are proficient in. So, for example, it may be long ball, it may be, maybe long ball counter, it may be possession, it may be quick counter. Of course, with these pro players, they're looking for the most kind of, I'd say, viable tactic that will suit them. The issue, of course, becomes is that if the manager isn't proficient in that tactic, you may not be able to get your team up to, a higher team playstyle proficiency. So as a result, that can potentially impact the way that your team moves. But both sides at the moment, I think Arsenal have a 97 team playstyle proficiency. Roma are up to 100, so they're both very comfortable at the moment. And it just seems to be that it's a little bit passive from Arsenal. As we said, they're trying to essentially pass the ball into the net, but they just cannot get past a very stubborn Roma defence.
20 in-game minutes for Arsenal to try and turn around this deficit. It has to be said, though, Gagliardo has looked very comfortable on the ball so far, and Nketiah and Pepe trying to make sure that something comes of this attack. We will, of course, see both of these clubs in action once more today. We still have 2 games to go in this particular match between these two clubs. Here's Nketiah looking through it again. And well, Rui Patricio gets something on it, but not enough. As for Arsenal, as for Barbosa, that's left a decent amount of time left on the clock to try and get an equaliser. The deficit is halved, it's 2-1.
Yeah, you can see it was coming from that Arsenal passing. Again, bit of a ricochet through the defence, and the goalkeeper will certainly need to look at himself after that one. You would have really thought that would have, been parried wide at the very least. But again, it's a goal for Barbosa. I don't think he's going to care where it comes from. I think he just wants it in the back of the net so he can get the ball and try and go again. The issue now becomes, of course, does Gagliardo tuck his chin and try and play possession, or does he try and kill it off with the third goal?
15 in-game minutes to go. Barbosa's second of the season. Will that goal bring with it belief that this comeback can be made a reality? Arsenal fans will certainly be hoping so. Lacazette and Nketiah. It's getting in dangerous positions, but the service has been somewhat lacklustre. To go then. Arsenal win the ball back. Lukonga. Somewhat of a mistimed pass there. The player goes down. The referee having none of it. Lovely dummy from Mkhitaryan. Just lets it run. Odegaard. What a time to get an equaliser this would be. Pepe. Skills not quite working out. They win the ball high up the pitch though. Nketiah! Blink and you'll miss it. That was an absolute thunderbolt. Back on level terms. And Barbosa scores his second. 2-2.
Huge goal for Barbosa. Again, bit of fortune there. Why have you let the ball not run out there? I have absolutely no idea from Gagliardo. Again, it gives every bit of impetus back to Barbosa, and we saw it during that period after the first goal from Barbosa. Every time the ball went forward, it was losing ball and losing possession. And there's the volume. Headphone users beware. But you saw the fact that every opportunity that you gave back to this Arsenal side, every time you get the ball back, it's another opportunity for them to recycle the ball and get the ball forward. So I understand trying to kill the game, but you need to be a little bit cleaner than just putting it down a wing and hoping for the best. You have to, as we saw from the likes of Bayern Munich last week, launch the ball forward, play almost rugby, territory, like push them all the way back, and instead it's giving them every piece of impetus to come forward again.
Well, we still have time on the clock for either of these two clubs to snatch a winner here. We're approaching the 90th, so you'd assume it would be a winner.
There will be 3 minutes
2-0 down, back to 2 apiece. El Shaarawy, though, has won the ball around the halfway line, but Barbosa has grown and grown into this game. Into the second, approaching the third of 3 added on, and the ball is in the possession of AS Roma. So, last attack, you'd assume. But we tick over into 93. And I think the referee will have seen enough. And there it is. From 2-0 down, back to 2-2. The belief was there. The comeback came with it, Wes. And Barbosa, well, that could have been a whole lot worse for him.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you're an Arsenal fan, that is very much a point gained. If you're Roma, that's 2 points dropped, in my honest opinion. You can see how tight the game was. It got scrappy. After the subs came on, as we said, there's that kind of always magical period between the 60th and the 70th minute where substitutes can just change the game. You could almost see Barbosa's frustration with the fact that he'd only got a point even at that stage. But again, great finish from Abraham to open the scoring. Brilliantly done. And from the early going, it seemed all Roma. The pressure was there. The ability to kind of hurry the ball carrier was there. And then it was the execution late on down the stretch that was the main issue.
Yeah, it really seemed like Arsenal had a way back into this game for the first, let's say, about 50 in-game minutes. You can see here as we kicked off the second half, immediately the second came from Gagliardo. But it has to be said, Barbosa, it's difficult when you're facing a 2-goal deficit to keep that belief, to keep on trucking. And it seemed as if this second goal, Wes, was the wake-up call that Barbosa needed to find his form here for Arsenal.
Yeah, that was it. It was this goal rolls in. And again, if you're sitting at home and you're Arsenal, you think it's all over, that it's all done. Instead, bit of fortune. Goalkeeper. Got to look at the goalkeeper there. And again, with 17 minutes on the clock, you'd think, even you said, there's still time enough here for a chance to go. And you can just slowly hear the volume turning up of Barbosa as each period of play goes on. But again, did very well to get that shot off in that environment. Again, keeper, you've got to ask questions of. This here, though, again, you've got to question why Roma don't just let that run. And instead, brilliantly thunderbolted into the bottom corner from Eddie Nketiah. And that is 2-2. And again, there were chances there. And, yeah, I'm just saving my eardrums here. But, yeah, no, it was great. Great to see from them. And again, point earned for Arsenal, most definitely.
Point earned for Arsenal. You could argue maybe that 2 dropped for Gagliardo, but it has to be said, Semra, a wonderful game to kick us off today. We had 4 goals, the points shared. Not sure either player will be too happy not to have picked up the win, but at least we saw some good goals and some good action.
That we did, and good on Barbosa for sticking with it, not giving up until the very end, and managing to take a point that puts Arsenal in a good position here as they go into the next game. And obviously, as well, taking some points off of Roma, who really did look like one of the teams to beat after last weekend. So having said that, let's go ahead and see who's going to be lining up in Game 2 between these two clubs. And it's going to be Roma against Dominator, the clash of the captains, we can call it. And it's quite an interesting one, this one. Intriguing indeed, to borrow from your word, Wes, because Roma, he comes in off a comprehensive victory last weekend against the European champion. And it was very much a surprise, very much an upset. But on top of that, in Dominator, he'll be gunning for his second victory, not just for himself, but for the Arsenal, as well as he's the only player so far to have put those 3 points on the board. And he also managed to come back as well, made some tactical changes late on in the game, and then romped his way to success. Both of them had a 4-1 victory, so we're looking at a real heavyweight clash here between these two captains.
Yeah, in theory, it should be an action-packed affair, but something tells me, Wes, we're going to see a bit more of an attritional affair. We always say that Dominator knows his teams inside and out. Irma is more of a player who plays off feel and likes to see how the game is going and make adjustments accordingly, but Dominator very much regimented, has a game plan, knows what he wants to do beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, we earmarked it last week when we were talking about the fact that, you know, it was 1-0 down, but he had the whole of pretty much the entirety of possession, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 4 goals come out, and you're just like, well, where's that come from? So, you know, it'll be interesting to see whether that kind of attritional play style will make this, you know, an exciting kind of matchup. Because with Irma, again, it normally goes on feel, it normally goes on how the game is shaped. And I think for him, again, you can see how fluid he looks just waiting for the game to kick off. This is very close to call.
Very close to call indeed. We say thank you very much to Semra in the studio, making sure we're being steered in the right direction. Of course, worth remembering, if you are just joining us, we have new club packs in the game, which means, of course, new players, new items, new cards, if you will, available to these eFootball Championship Pro players. But the rule remains the same. The Dream Team collective strength is limited under 2,300, including 2,300. So, where you strengthen some areas, you may have to weaken others, and it's almost becoming a game of chess at this level of the competition as we kick off Game 2, Roma versus Arsenal, as to where those weaknesses lie for the opposition. Arsenal then starting the game off in their changed strip, attacking from left to right. Roma coming at them the other way, Wes.
Yeah, I think the telling point from Indominator's lineup there was that there was only one featured player in there. It's very much kept the same lineup that got him that victory last week, or at least the 4-1 victory that was there. So, you know, again, it might be a slight advantage knowing the feel of those players already. He hasn't had to relearn how these featured ones operate in his team. I think the only one that's there is Lacazette, and I think that might only be because of an improved finishing stat that you can get with that Lacazette. Whereas with Roma, again, they seem to have gone with that similar down the spine. It's a centre back, it's a centre midfielder, and it's a striker in Abraham. So again, it's all about whether you've gambled to learn how these new players operate, given the short space of time you've had to work with them, or you stick with what you know and you take a little bit of what's there. But at the moment, you know, the ball hasn't even touched a Roma player, and we're 12 minutes in. It's very much a case of, if you don't have the ball, I'm not going to have any damage to me. So I think Indominator's smart in that sense. But if there's a counter attack on, you can easily get caught cold.
Well, it's been all Arsenal so far, and you'll see this a lot from Indominator. Happy to play back if he sees something he doesn't like. This is a game plan that no doubt will test the patience of his adversary here, the captain of AS Roma for this season. Roma's going to have to make sure he's concentrating at all times. Whether or not that will fuel the fire when he eventually gets the ball, we will see. Well, Pepe has got through here. Tomiyasu is there as well, but he is offside.
Yeah, you can see there's a lot of bodies forward for Arsenal. Even their right back and left back are venturing forward. 20 minutes gone, though. You can see that possession stat in the top left-hand corner, all because there's not been any touch. This will be the first Roma touch of the ball, and I've never seen a 100% possession stat in a game of eFootball. That's a first even for me.
Yeah, that was the possession stat. That wasn't pass completion. That was the possession stat, but that now has changed as Irma gets a rare sniff of the ball, and this is where we might see the game open up and Dominator venture a little further forward. And well, you can see Mkhitaryan trying to break in behind. Bit of confusion at the back there for Arsenal. We expect Indominator to maybe take a few more risks as the game goes on, but it's all about managing the early game for Arsenal, seemingly for their captain here. That's a misplaced one though. Diawara is able to salvage, but I believe that is Jan who is offside.
Yeah, I think looking at Indominator, I think he knows that the potency that Irma does possess. So I think the issue for Arsenal is, how do you increase the tempo and how do you increase your chances of scoring without causing yourself too much of a gap in behind? Because as we've seen in the first game, you know, Abraham was running riot up until changes came in. Whereas with this Arsenal team, or at least with the Dominator and the way he's set up, it's now a case of the ball keeps going backwards, but he's looking to kind of drag Irma out of position.
Well, he's done just that as Smalling for Roma was caught chasing the ball, and there might be an early chance here. Martinelli will get himself a corner. And this is the type of risk we like to see in Dominator take, Wes.
Yeah, it's good. You can see that the kind of the change in tempo that just so happens. It will look very passive, and then out of nowhere, it will kick up a notch, and it will be quick passes into feet, trying to get themselves a goal.
Well, Pepe is there at the post. At the near post, that was very, very close to finding the target as well. Things starting to move up the gears now for the North London club, and this will frustrate Irma because he hasn't had a chance to put his attacking game plan into effect. It's been nullified in terms of possession by the Arsenal captain, and it is the aforementioned who comes away with the ball. 10 minutes to go till half-time.
Yeah, this kind of play style, it will frustrate even the best of players, because you know that once you give the ball away once to this Arsenal team, you're not going to see it again for a while, and if you do see it, you're going to have to do something with it. But at the moment, it's all in Dominator, even if it's not quite the penetrative kind of possession that we're used to.
Zaniolo was looking for, I believe that was Abraham on the near side. Think he would have been adjudged to have been offside had that pass found its way through. We're approaching half-time. A great time, of course, to get a goal. As Lacazette trying to run through the middle here. Has Martinelli in support, and it's off the frame. How close was this from Martinelli? A great build-up, but Arsenal just can't find a goal.
Yeah, there must be magnets in that goalpost. They love hitting it at the moment. I mean, you can see from the Dominator, you can see he knows that chance was there. He knows it was there and it was begging. And it's good play moving it through the gears. This play style that in Dominator has, you could almost liken it to kind of like a boa constrictor. It's slowly moving you into position until he wants to strike. And I think that's exactly what he's going for here. Try and dislodge Irma from what his natural game plan would be, and once he's disrupted, then try and take a shot on. It was great play. It just hasn't found that key finish just yet.
Well, the referee's blown his whistle for half-time. As you said, some problems, or should I say puzzles, for Irma to try and dissect as we enter the second half. Not a whole lot of attacking gameplay from Roma, but every time they've had the ball, they've tried going forwards, and they're coming here as well to start the second half. It's not from a lack of want from Irma, it's just a lack of the ball, it has to be said.
Yeah, it's not been misplaced. Wes, yeah. It's not been misplaced passes. He's just been playing essentially with thin air at this point. I've never seen a ball be kept with such kind of accuracy as we're seeing here.
83% possession with 50 minutes gone for Arsenal. But you don't win the game based on possession, as Mkhitaryan tries sneaking in. Abraham now as Roma. And Irma try and search for an opener. You can see the intent immediately from Irma is to put pressure on that Arsenal back line, and Abraham on that far side was threatening, wasn't he? But a throw-in in the final third for Roma.
And the thing that we learned about Irma through previous tournaments that we've seen him in is that he doesn't need a lot of opportunity to get a goal. So again, as much as we're waxing lyrical about the possession stats and how much the ball's been kept, in reality, Irma doesn't need that much left to strike.
You can see the stats so far throughout the season for these two clubs. The big one, of course, just the one win for Arsenal coming last week from their captain. Well, Mkhitaryan can't quite get to the ball before it runs out of play. That result was a huge one last week for Indominator, and one that had the captain failed to achieve would put Arsenal on a completely different trajectory this season, wouldn't they, Wes? Because they would only have that 1 point should that result have not gone their way, coming from a 0-0 result between Venom and Alex R of Barcelona last week.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention as well the fact that, you know, Indominator came from 1-0 down last week as well, and it was a, 24th minute that we saw it. It wasn't until around about the 70th that we saw any type of real attacking instinct from Indominator, which I get the feeling, looking at what we're seeing right now, it looks like that might even be the case today as well.
Good passing here from Indominator as Martinelli cuts inside. It's far from the target, though. As we see the replay here, I got very excited, Wes, because I thought maybe Martinelli might be able to produce a more surefire attempt on goal there.
Come on.
Yeah, I think he couldn't get the right curve or the right amount of curve on that to find that corner. We saw it over the last, over last weekend. We saw how proficient that was as an ability to strike, as we'll see potentially substitutions being looked at. You can see almost an assessment of, okay, well, where are our stamina levels at? I think that's pretty much where we're looking at the moment. But both teams holding firm, both teams not making any substitutions, and as a result, it's as you were.
Very fascinating game so far. I think I saw 81% possession to Arsenal. That one is a foul in midfield, and it's a straight red for Tomiyasu. And that one is going to call for more changes for Arsenal. The right back seeing red, a straight red as well, Wes. That's going to change the complexion of this game entirely now.
Well, here's where we talk about balance, and we talk about balance in squad preparation. Do Arsenal have a substitution on the bench that's a defender to cover the hole, or is it going to be a change in shape instead? It looks like it's going to be a change in shape instead here from Indominator. It looks like it's moving to a 3 at the back, but you can see here on the left hand side of your screen, you can see there's just a little bit of discussion on where, and you see those very slight movements from Irma to see exactly where he's going. You see he's going more central to try and put the pressure on that 3 at the back. So let's see how this plays out, because I don't think a red card would have been in the planning for Indominator for this frustrating style of play that he's given to Irma. And if you look at the bench there, doesn't appear to be a defender on the bench, so it's going to be 3 at the back and hoping for the best here.
Let's take a quick listen to the players' audio here, see if there's anything that we can pick up as we look to resume the second half. Well, we certainly heard Irma earlier, Wes, getting some advice from his fellow teammates. And Dominator, I think I heard Barbosa in the back, maybe offering some words of advice. But this is going to lead to a very nervy final 20 in-game minutes. Arsenal down to 10 men. And, well, already Mkhitaryan looking to try and put them to the sword here as he's just strayed too close to the byline.
Yeah, that was close. That was close. That's one extra dummy, or one extra button press that was too many from Irma for there to be a cutback opportunity on. So Arsenal have to be very, very careful here now.
And Dominator still showing signs of wanting to come forward. How ill-advised that will be will obviously be evident to us at the end of the 90, but here is Martinelli for now. If you're just joining us, Arsenal down to 10 men. Tomiyasu sent off in the 70th minute. Odegaard. Arsenal still chasing what would be a goal to send them into the lead here. And, well, the referee has given offside. I thought maybe for a second there he was going to give a bit of a cheap foul there, Wes, but he's proven the correct decision was given there.
Yeah, it's certainly what I would have given. It certainly looked like there was a player bundled over at the edge of the box, but luckily I'm not the man in the middle, otherwise we'd have a vastly different game on our hands, I think.
So then changes to come as we enter the last dance of game 2. Of course, we will see both of these clubs in action again today. They only played one match each on match day 1 of Group B. We'll see Arsenal taking on Galatasaray following this match, and Roma at the end of the day get a chance to go to Barcelona.
Coming on the field is
So then
number 65.
we enter the final
Substitutions taking
10
place.
in-game minutes just shortly. It's credit to Indominator. He's able to find some passes, but this is where he needs to be very careful, as Roma no doubt will want to be putting the 10 men to the sword here. Jan cuts inside and he's got room to run as well, just runs beyond him. Good work at the back by Indominator, and can he turn defense into attack now? Lokonga can find Nketiah. Five in-game minutes to go. A goal now would be heartbreaking for one of the clubs who have held on for so long in this game. Martinelli will receive the ball here, and it'll be a late corner for Indominator. You can see that's frustrated Irma. He wants to chase this win for his team. Pepe to swing it in. Smalling to clear away for Roma. Lokonga. Hutchinson is unable to get an accurate pass away, and we're entering stoppage time now. A last attack of the game, seemingly, for Arsenal. It's headed all the way back to Rui Patricio, and you can see Irma. He is frustrated. No time left on the clock, and this one will end goalless. So hard fought, where's that game? Doesn't reward us with any goals. It was fascinating. There were lots of possession for Arsenal, but no goals in the end.
Yeah, and you've got to think from an Arsenal standpoint. You've got to think how vital those 2 post hits are going to be. You know, absolutely starved Irma of the ball, and you can see the frustration etched all over his face. You know, you can see hands flailing, controllers going. You could see everything from him. He was just annoyed. Indominator, I think, knew that game plan. He knew what he was going to do. He knew it was a case of keeping the ball, nullifying the attacking threat that Irma is. It just couldn't get a finish of his own off. And, you know, it was this chance here, and then I believe it was the resulting corner, it hits the post. Of course, you've got this chance here from Martinelli. That hits the post. On another day, it clinks off the other side and goes flying into the back of the net. But, again, for as almost a mirror image of the first game, I think that's points dropped for Arsenal. What a point gain for Roma, because they literally just didn't have the ball and couldn't do anything with it.
Well, so far, 2 draws between these 2 clubs, as we see again another chance for Martinelli. Couldn't quite get his foot around the ball. But the other 2 clubs in this group, Wes, has to be said, will be very happy having seen 2 draws so far. Galatasaray and Barcelona, of course, those 2. Who we will see play later today. So,
Yeah.
game 2 of match 1 will finish 0-0, 0-0. No goals to be shown. The points are shared, Semra. And that was, I mean, I'm almost lost for words. That was so much possession for so little return from Indominator, and the points are shared in the end.
That's the thing with possession. What good is it if you can't actually capitalize on having so much of it and being effective in the final third? It really is a shame for Dominator. I'm sure that he'll be very, very frustrated with the way things panned out in the end. And also frustration for Urma, who couldn't capitalize on having those final 20 in-game minutes against 10 men. So in the end, a point apiece. But the good news is that it does keep things for us, the neutrals, very interesting in terms of how things are going to look by the end of the day for the group. It does keep things very tight and on a knife's edge. So having said that, let's go ahead and roll right on into game 3 of match 1 and see who's going to feature. I'm sure you already know by now it's going to be Stifler against Venom. Venom waving his hand there, saluting us. In the case of Stifler, you may remember that he debuted in quite some style last week, not just for Roma, but for the competition as well, with a big victory. And whenever it comes to Venom, he was the only player as well for Arsenal to feature in a goalless draw in the competition until what we just saw now. But in any case, he'll be chasing his first goal and his first victory as well. So what do you guys make of this potential clash-up? Do you think that somebody can actually walk away with the 3 points, the first 3 points of the day?
I think so. I can't quite tell at this point which of these players it's going to be, because we thought the last game might be full of goals and it ended goalless. So at this point, don't listen to us. It has to be said, Stifler's debut last week, very, very impressive. He is coming up, though, Wes, against a different level of opposition now. No disrespect to Diol, but 2 debutants last week. He's coming up now against an eFootball Championship Pro veteran in Venom. He's had several seasons in the league now. He's going to have to pull something special out of the bag to get a result here, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think not to disparage Diol's performance last week, because I think both debutants were very well versed and well read last week. I think, of course, coming up against Venom, though, experienced operator, has a lot of tricks in the back pocket. But again, as we saw from Stifler, it was very much silencing some critics last week, very much when he was shushing the camera. I think that this has the potential to be probably the feistier one out of the games that we've seen so far today. Because I think, looking at Venom, he's got a point to prove. Only scored, I believe, he didn't score actually last week. So I think he's got a point to prove. And Stifler, of course, is still on this kind of charge of having to prove himself as a debutant. So a lot to prove, a lot of intrigue going into this one.
Well, we say thank you to Semra in the studio. We'll have a chance to chat to her more after this final game of our first match of Matchday 2. It is Roma versus Arsenal. Same kits, different players. Stifler in for Roma. You have Venom for Arsenal. Both players, you feel, wanting to make up for lost time in different senses of the phrase. I'll come back to that. Zaniolo looking to try and feed Jan. On the one hand, Stifler, his debut last week, he wants to make up for lost time in not being featured in seasons previous, and Venom wants to make up for lost time in terms of goals, having not scored last week in a 0-0 draw. So this will be a fascinating contest. I said that about the last game, though, so don't trust me, Wes.
Just a question for you, Harry. Do you think looking at the way that Arsenal are equipping themselves in these games, because of the way that the fixtures are falling and because of the way how many games have been played so far, are they just looking to nullify Roma to the point where they just don't drop any points against them? Because it's certainly getting that. I'm certainly getting that vibe of, well, if we can get, if we can stay, we can get 3 points, we can get 3 draws out of these games, then great. Then it means it sets us up for future fixtures. I'm getting that little bit of a vibe from Arsenal.
Well, it'll be fun to see the live group table as things stand, because this would signal at the end of this game all clubs in this group having played 3 matches, as the first strike in anger goes to Roma. But we'll get a better lay of the land in terms of how this group stands. There's some lovely skill moves from Venom. See some breeze past the Roma defender. Party, Smith Rowe, double touch! Oh, it was curling. He'll let it run for the corner, but good early shots from both of these players, Wes.
Yeah, you can see both of them working the space in each opposition box. You saw dummies and we saw super cancels. We also saw the same there from Venom as well. Ball hasn't been cleared for the corner.
Holding with his strike, a lot of power. Straight into the shin of Chris Smalling, I believe. So 20 minutes gone. Venom starting to build as this first half progresses. Stifler's going to have to remind his adversary what he is capable of, and of course what is at stake here. Mkhitaryan. Zaniolo will gather it straight at the goalkeeper. Calmly done. So there it is. As things stand, Wes, after 6 games played, Barcelona topping the group. Roma would finish 1 point behind. So there is a chance, should Stifler pull a result out here, that we could see with 1 match to go for each of these clubs here in Group B, Roma could be topping it.
Yeah, I think that potentially is a little bit of the game plan that's seeped into this Arsenal kind of lineup. Maybe they're looking to try and exploit what they perceive to be the slightly weaker players and the slightly weaker teams to then potentially, suit themselves when it comes to games going on. Like, for example, if they come out of this points as it is, then they're up against, I think it's, if you look at the table, they're nestled into the group nicely. So, but if there's a chance on to score, I'm sure Venom will try and take it.
Speaking of, here is Pepe trying to use his skills in the box to beat his man, but will bounce back off him out of play. Of course, it will be all to play for with the new format this season. Going into our final 2 matches of today, Arsenal after this taking on Galatasaray in match 2. You will have Roma facing Barcelona in what could well be at that point a clash at the top of Group B. And with 9 points up for grabs in each match, every game matters. Here is Zaniolo dispossessed by Emil Smith-Rowe. Ten in-game minutes to go till half-time. Here is Tammy Abraham. Zaniolo cannot unlock the Arsenal defence for now, and that's a nice dummy, but the pass seemingly to no one. But Leno will gather, Wes. It's been another goalless first half so far. Surely not another goalless draw.
Well, I'd like to think not, but the longer this game goes on without a goal, the more I'm subscribing to my theory that it's looking to just must not lose territory.
Oh, Abraham was given the time and license to get his strike away. That new item, of course, in Dream Team as of this week. You could be right, Wes. You look at the players they fielded out in terms of the time they've fielded them out. Barbosa going out first. You'd argue he's one of the more attacking-minded players of this Arsenal squad, despite his 7-1 defeat last week. You have a Dominator, very much a neutraliser, and now you have Venom, as there is a stunning strike! Drilled into the bottom corner. Tammy Abraham for Stifler fires Roma into the lead in what could be a crucial goal in Group B.
That's a 92 rated featured cat amongst the pigeons. Again, given room and time to take that opportunity. Great strike in truth. Again, ball comes out here. It's come back here, and you'll just see defence just backs off a little bit, gives him enough room, finds the bottom corner. It's a great finish from Stifler. And again, 1 goal to the good for Roma, and now we're going to have to see whether Venom can answer back here with something, because at the moment it's been a very kind of non-plus game. Nothing's really happened up until this point.
Standoffish was the defence. Stifler very happy to be taking the lead moments before half-time. Very well played, standoffish defence, and he found the lane to get the strike away to give us our first goal in almost 3 halves of eFootball. And well, Smith-Rowe's been fouled here. which will give Venom potentially the impetus to get an equaliser almost immediately. Will he go for goal? Steps over the ball at the first attempt. Lacazette's got a lot of power on it and was on target. See Stifler just shifting Rui Patricio across, and rightly so. Gets the right way.
Yeah, you can see him trying to bait the goalkeeper there with the run over at the free kick. And it nearly worked. It nearly worked because Stifler shuffled back to near side and then went back in again.
Oh, Patricio's made a bit of a meal of that as I put my teeth back in here. Another corner for Arsenal. These are always dangerous. Ødegaard's the left footer, this time played short. Cross comes in, and who's there at the front post? It's Holding! The equaliser before half-time to set us up very nicely indeed for the second half, Wes. A stunning cross and a great finish as well.
Yeah, and if you had on your eFootball Championship Pro bingo cards of Rob Holding being the first goal scorer in this game for Arsenal, I don't think anybody is. A fantastic cross from Martin Ødegaard. Holding gets in front of his defender, nails it into the bottom corner, 1-1. You can hear the roar from Venom.
Disappointment on the other side. Venom maybe has turned part cyborg with that goal, but I think that will signal half-time from the referee. Those headers so difficult at the near post to deal with. 1-1 at half-time, but let's talk briefly, Wes, about that goal once again. The cross is phenomenal, isn't it? And the header so well placed into the bottom corner that the goalkeeper just couldn't get down to it.
Yeah, it's a great modifier, is that stunning aspect of the game. If you hold R2 or RT, depending on what console or what controller you play with, again, changes, makes a completely different type of cross, gives you a bit of extra zip, and as a result, it allows your defender or allows your attacker to get in front of defenders. Great header, and again, this kind of falls into that narrative of Arsenal where they're trying not to lose the game.
Well, we wonder if maybe that equaliser might just give Venom a bit of motivation to go forward. Here is Jean for now, tackled by an Arsenal defender. Sometimes with Venom, Wes, he can be a bit like a shark when they smell blood. He's got his first goal and he'll be craving that feeling once again. And here is Pepe on the near side. Skillful dribbler is Venom, and if you give him a weapon like Pepe, he can take players on, and he's got through the defence here as well. It evades everyone, and Ødegaard can recycle it. It's off the post for the third time in this match between these two clubs. So close to the go-ahead strike.
You need to put a Roma shirt on that post. Brilliant defending from there. I joke, of course. Again, really good dribbling from Nicola Pepe. Get the opportunity. Ball flashes across goal. It luckily comes back to Ødegaard and almost on instinct throws a leg and it hits the post. And unfortunately, it bounces the other side again for Arsenal. But again, you know, Venom will be buoyed by those opportunities that are still coming. And again, the longer this game goes on at 1-1, we may find that, you know, a bit of fatigue creeps in on the sticks, a bit of fatigue creeps in on the pitch, and we might see a game winner here. I'm not too sure where we're going to find it, but it might just pop up somewhere.
Great pressure from Stifler, and once again, with Smalling wins himself the ball back. It's just been a bit of a difficulty since the goal went in for him to come forward. Venom has made sure his defence is concentrating at all times, and Abraham will receive the ball, but is offside. So half an hour then.
The attendance for this match was 71,600.
In-game time to be played here in Game 3. It could be a crucial Game 3. The points were shared, as you see, at the top of your screen between Games 1 and 2. 2 draws, and Pepe, oh, lovely double touch. Evades his man, not once, not twice, but 3 times. The strike forced the save as well, and it will be a corner now. That was a really strong opportunity for Venom. Once, twice, 3 times. Strong hand in the end.
Yeah, it just met the fingertips of Rui Patricio. Again, it's brilliantly well-worked dribbling. It's one thing knowing how to execute double touches and skill moves and all the rest of it. It's another thing knowing where to do them in game situations. And certainly Venom buying himself some time, buying himself an opportunity. Let's see whether we can do anything with the corner.
Yeah, the corner is bundled in towards that near post. Stifler has to be concentrating here. Still evenly poised at one apiece. His chances will come. But defensively, Venom is growing in confidence. Pepe has skill moves to use. He's won himself a free kick here as well. You can see the intent from Venom. Get it to the skilled dribbler of Pepe on this near side. What is the plan here from this free kick? Surely too far away to shoot. Odegaard trying to play the ball through, but good closing of the passing lane there. There are Roma shirts forward here. Mkhitaryan has gone to the player behind him. Not sure if that was the intent from Stifler, but Partey can set Pepe free here on this near side. You can see the skill moves wanting to come through, but just mistimed. Good timing on the tackle from the other side. Needed to be done as well, but Stifler needs to do better at ball retention here, because the more he gives the ball away, the more this ball is going to come right back. You can see the league table as things stand. Pepe once again beating his man. Is there a cross to be found? The answer is no. Goal kick.
Yeah, you can see the two kind of almost mentalities playing out on the field. You can see the urgency from Stifler to get a goal, just get these 3 points. Meanwhile, Venom, on the other hand, is waiting for these opportunities to open up. So it's a case of almost cat and mouse as to who makes the first error. Is it going to be the case that there's too many bodies flowing forward and Venom catches Roma on the break? Or is it a case that Roma have got too many bodies forward and Arsenal can't contain what's going on down there? So you can see both. And I think if you look at the complexities of what games are left in the group stage, you've got Arsenal, as you mentioned, I believe you've got Galatasaray next match. You've then got Roma, who have got to go and play free-scoring Barcelona. So for either team, you would rather be in Arsenal's position. No disrespect to Galatasaray, but if you'd rather be in Arsenal's position than having to go against free-scoring Barcelona.
Oh, Odegaard has stopped up in the box. 15 in-game minutes. To try and find a winner for both of these clubs, it's been one-way traffic for the majority of the second half. The game plan is clear from Venom. Play on this near side, play through Pepe. Mkhitaryan, though, into the feet of Abraham. Lovely turn, strike. Forces a save. The cross still to be dealt with, and it dribbles all the way through to Tammy Abraham. The second ball was never dealt with. And Stifler makes Arsenal pay. Back into the lead he goes. 2-1.
The presence of mind to not shoot on this rebound is what makes these players so good. You could easily have just been spamming or just repeatedly pressing the shoot button. When it comes back here, you easily try and shoot. Instead, he hooks it back into the box. Abraham's there, just about gets a ricochet. I think it might be Kieran Tierney on the line. But again, it's finding. You can see there, Abraham peels away on the right-hand side of your screen. He's left all alone. It's even deflected. It's took 2 deflections. He took one off of Jean, goes off of Tierney into the back of the net, and that's the risk that you take if you are trying to kind of wait and kind of almost sucker punch players. You have the ability to be sucker punched yourself. So again, if you're Arsenal, you'd be very disappointed with that. You can see just in one goal the complexion of the table completely changes.
That it does. And it may well set up in our next match A huge game between Arsenal and Galatasaray for that third spot. If things stand, Owen Nketiah can get his strike away. I'd love to see the passion from Stifler. He's had a lot of defending to do in this second half. That relief of finding the back of the net after a really well-worked passage of play was evident for all to see. 5 in-game minutes and a little bit of change to hold on now for what would be a huge 3 points for AS Roma. Of course, he won 2-1 last week as well, so great value out of the new signing for AS Roma, Stifler. But first, he has to secure this one over the line. Martinelli is turning, but that finish goes agonizingly wide of the target there. Must have been frustrating, that, for Venom.
Yeah, you can see there as well. You can see at the bottom of your screen on the radar, that white line that comes forward. That's Venom pushing his defensive line forward to try and put as much pressure on this ball as possible. But if you're Stifler, it's time to just run out the clock. I mean, but as we said before, every time this ball goes to an Arsenal player, it presents another opportunity.
There will be 3 minutes at a time.
Potentially one last throw of the dice as Diawara is adjudged to have fouled. His Arsenal counterpart here. Pass to Pepe, trying to get one through again. Odegaard was arriving, but anywhere will do at this point in time. As Stifler has just 2 in-game minutes to hold on here. Can Venom salvage a point? Or is this one destined to go to AS Roma after 2 draws in the first 2 games? We wondered where the lion's share of the points would go, and it's official now. They will be going back to Roma. A 2-1 victory sees a huge 3 points to the Italian Giants in Game 3. Back and forth action, a wonderful game of eFootball, but it's that man on your screen, AS Roma's Stifler, who emerges victorious. Commiserations, of course, to Venom on the Arsenal side.
Well, if anybody was questioning the inclusion of Stifler in this Roma side before the start of the tournament, this is tonic to basically say, well, actually, he's worth his weight in gold at this point. Massive 3 points at the end of that. And again, like we said, the forethought to find that goal, to finish it off. I mean, there, you're just given the opportunity to hit a stunning shot. You're given far too much space and time. And as a result, again, like we said, Tammy Abraham has been at the forefront of everything good that Roma have done today. And it was another goal to add to the collection.
Yeah, beautiful strike it was as well. You see the entire passage of play. It's winning the first ball, and then it's just a lack of concentration, you could say, from Venom. No players in a position to pressure Abraham. Gave him all the time and space to get that strike away. And then just before half-time, the equaliser came thanks to this stunning cross and a header from Rob Holding at the near post. But these 2 clubs, Wes, very evenly matched indeed. Just the 1 goal to split them, which came in Game 3. Arsenal now, it's a do-or-die match against Galatasaray next.
Yeah, and that's the critical point of this story, is that now all of that Arsenal team, the dejection they may have had of potentially dropping points in this game, you've now got to go into a game against Galatasaray where Galatasaray are going to be as hungry for these points as Arsenal. This is probably not the scenario you wanted to be in if you are Arsenal.
Absolutely not. We saw some silky skills from Pepe, but in the end, it was the second bite of the cherry from this attack. Maitland-Niles able to find Tammy Abraham in the 80th minute of the match to secure all 3 points in Game 3 to Stifler. And you can hear what it means